guy is
Blonde guy is Roy, and I could not find any guy for the other guy. Any name for the other guy.
yeah. I don't even know what race the other guy is.
I keep picturing him as the guy from CSI Miami. Like
Okay.
the Latino guy. I think he's Latino.
Okay, I could see that. He's got kind of, well, I don't know. He looks like a guy.
Yeah, and so
But it's like blonde guy and dark-haired guy.
and they're also discussing the fact that they did not make the money that they were hoping to make, and they are alluding to a character named Josh who they owe money to. It's not
More
enough
than they
money, and what are we going to do? Just then they get summoned, and this is a major spoiler.
Yep.
They get summoned.
Dispatch, this is 340. You said 129 Winchester? We can take that. That's why I got into law enforcement.
And that's why I got into law enforcement.
So these criminals, they're also cops.
And this is super fun.
Yeah.
I think
it's a great concept.
It's a great concept, and it's a great backstory. This backstory was
It's like being a double agent.
Yeah, this backstory was so much fun. So
Yeah, it was a cool. So then there was like a kind of a jump cut to a backstory where it kind of explains his motivation. And he's like, well, I used to watch like cowboy movies, cops and robbers, and cowboys and Indians, and I always rooted for the bad guy.
the bad guy had the cooler hair and the cooler outfits.
Yeah, and he had the better guns or whatnot. And then he realized that, if you want to get, like, you could have a normal life, or you could try to get ahead by doing as little work as possible, as if you're willing to do it on the bad side. But then there's a cool sequence of, like, one time he was actually in a bank, and there was a bad guy who came in to rob it, and
he's so cool. He's so
he's
cool.
Really cool. He was the coolest, baddest guy I'd ever seen until he wasn't, and he got shot in the head by a cop.
The cop shoots his face off,
Yeah.
and then go on.
And is he being backed up by two clowns?
Oh yeah, that was part of the
That was part of this gang.
That was part the two clown guys were wearing the mask, and the little boy, Roy in this case, asked him, like, why don't you wear a mask? And he starts to flirt with Roy's mom. He's like, so your mom can see my pretty face.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just the coolest bad guy. He looks like James Dean. He gets shot in the face by a mustachioed cop dude. And
yeah. Which is the big transition where he realizes being a cop is kind of like being a criminal, because you can shoot people, but you don't get in trouble. You can walk right into the bank vault. There's kickbacks, and you get to beat people up, and everyone thinks you're cool, and you get a gun and all that stuff.
This is such a silly. Yeah, it's a great concept. It's silly. So,
it's also like, if it was like that's real though. Like, there are people like that.
What do you mean? Like, people
like
who...
it's a fun concept in this comic book, but it's also like scary because that could be real life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
like, there are people who are like, oh, I want to be a criminal. It doesn't look so good. I'll be a cop and then be a bad cop.
Well, yeah, sure. And there's maybe good criminals. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Jesse James.
Yeah. Dexter.
Yeah. And yeah, so the story continues in that 126 that they got called back on is actually the investigation of their own crime.
Yep.
And this was very funny scene. So they are questioning the orderly who had his gun in his back by a guy about the same build as your partner here, and probably the same height. And was he wearing any
weird clothing?
Any weird clothing and like...
Yeah, and the partner is even the blonde guy is saying this like he's teasing his partner, like he's flaunting the fact that they're not going to get caught.
Right. Like who wears the same shirt to the, like it's like this big flowered shirt. Only one person could have had that on tonight.
Shirt. Yeah. To match the build, and the height, and the shirt, and the.
And then we find out that Roy is also really into the media. He loves to see his picture on the the news.
He likes being the cool guy.
So he comes out and he does his cool guy thing. There's also a little sidebar about like other perks. So some of the perks are you get to park your car wherever you want. There's always evidence in the form of drugs that you can make friends with.
Yeah.
It's a very funny concept.
I mean, it would be cool to be a bad cop.
Yeah, it would. You can, why not? So
I mean, if you're going to be a criminal anyway.
Right. Yeah, why not do it right? You never get caught. So this Roy meets a friend of his for a drink, and this conversation really kind of like turned me a little bit, couple shades of green.
No.
I don't know if I want to even talk about it.
Yeah. He's kind of a crazy guy.
He is a very crazy guy. So we meet a third new character in this story, and it's their
Donovan.
Yeah, and he is sort of a third person party in their gang. Mm-hmm. But no, he's not financing them.
No, he's kind of more like the street connection.
Yeah,
he's like the other side.
Yes,
that they're teaming up with.
So there's a guy that they know, and when we meet Donovan, he is. This is a great splash panel. So he's like driven his car into like an outdoor restaurant. People are diving out of the way. He's at a Barnes and Noble where he's like knocking over the bookshelves. He's at a Barney's of New York where he's getting very physical with one of the mannequins. He's chasing mimes down the street.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job in this comic of making the cutscenes funny. Like, there's quite a few of these things where it's like a page is just like a series of different panels that are like funny examples of a thing.
So he's having sex with one of those like ladies' boots, those UGG boots, and then he's like crying with like what can be like like an American girl doll. It's so weird. It's just some weird stuff. But of course, that kind of behavior can't go unchecked, and he's arrested, and the two cops that are brought in to question him are Roy and his partner. And we find out that he is a producer, and with the right connections.
Connection to have. He's helping him roll in the money. And then it's like, it's cartoony because when they're talking about rolling in the money, they're like diving into like gold coins. Like, that's not what they were actually. That's a cartoon. That's not real. It's like illegal BattleBot betting rings.
Yeah, it's silly. It is silly, but it's super fun. Just some great panel work here too, because like there's just one long, and they do this a lot in this book. There's just like, that they're not the only people in this bar, but there's one big panel that's just like a long shot of just the bar and the two guys sitting at the bar. You can make out the bottles and like two big orb lights, and the coloring's just great. It's just such a great panel layout.
Yeah, the coloring is really what makes it the Archie style to me.
Yeah, I see that. So they've taken their story, they've optioned it with their producer. They're rolling in the money. They get a big advance. They blow the advance on BattleBots. They blow the
advance, gambling on robots.
And so the money doesn't hold out, and then
now they got to figure something out.
They got to figure something out. Just as we meet a fourth character, Internal Affairs.
She's
She's a Lieutenant
she's
Malone.
Like a prim and proper lady. She's a professional.
She is a professional, and you think, oh, the jig is up. Yeah. But she's on the take too.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's. When you're at the top of the organized food chain, they're the first cops you buy.
It's great. So the boss would like to see you. And when we meet the boss, James, I'm just like, this guy is great.
Yeah, I like how they kind of twisted it.
Yeah,
he's the apex predator, but then he's like behind this bar asking them if they want kombucha or coconut water.
Yeah, so he's like, so it's kind of like a new agey, like mob, like douse you in gasoline type guy. My computer just froze
and he's
up.
Like a stay-at-home dad with his baby in a, what do you call it?
I don't know what those called. What are those?
It's like a
baby Bjorn. A baby Bjorn.
Oh, there you go. That's good enough for me.
I can't believe I knew what that is. I guess I have enough friends with babies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and so it does this good thing of it's like these alternate scenes, or it's like on the left panel he's like holding a baby, and on the right panel he's like gouging someone's eye out with a hot poker stake, and then like on the left side he's like, is this pesticide free? And then on the right side he's like putting a knife in someone's ear.
Yeah.
I can't even really tell what he's doing in the last one. Is that gasoline?
Yeah, he's dumping gasoline on somebody. But my favorite part of these scenes, I'm not even looking at the scene.
He's against mandatory vaccinations.
Yeah, that's a funny one too. But my favorite part of the scene is like when the Roy's partner like says, "Well, what about all the murders we helped you cover up?" And like whenever he says the word murder or puts his foot in his mouth, talking about the criminal activities that they've been doing,
he gets like stared at.
Josh, that's the boss's name, gives him the stare down, and the stare down, this art is so perfect. Like, that is scary. He is a scary looking dude.
It's scary in context.
Yeah.
You know, he just changes from being like the happy family guy to giving you a straight stare.
Yeah. My computer just froze up, and I'm trying to get back to the action here.
Is the audio still going?
No. The audio's still going, but every once in a while, if I'm like flipping through the pages too fast, now it's showing me an error window. So I'm going to start it over, go back to my books.
What about Pretzels the dog?
So then we meet Pretzels the dog. So so you got to give them the setup there a little bit, because Josh says, we can fix your debts, guys, but you got to use your police connections and help me get something through LAX. And they talk about how not murder. They talk about how easy it used to be to get things through LAX. Mm-hmm. But it ain't so easy anymore. But now there's
Pretzel, the dog, is on the case now.
Yeah, and Pretzels is not gonna be easy, and like that's it. To be continued. We meet Pretzels.
Yeah, and it does a good job of setting up Pretzels in a way that like makes it a little unexpected and funny.
It is.
So it's, but not like slapsticky funny.
No, I think not slapsticky funny, but like I think this is just a home run. This is they're only currently at issue 9 of this. It has come. Oh, yeah. It comes out, but it comes out very slowly. And I think like out of the 9 issues, like only 1 issue was just sort of like, well, it's just a okay issue. All of them have been just great. In fact, number 9, that issue was so funny. Like, and I so enjoyed reading this one again tonight. I was just so like giggling and laughing at, like, we didn't talk about like the language that these guys use, but it is pretty salty. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun to read salty language. So we talked a little bit about the art. The art's pretty straightforward. Very get the job done.
There's no real call for splash pages, or there is action, but it's like Larry was saying, it's kind of blam bloom, skidding on your heels, and what do you call the action lines? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like just like motion lines and stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's a good comic book.
And the coloring, it's always great when you have a colorist, because it makes it pop.
Yeah, it really does. I'm looking at this bank scene now where the guy's trying to break $100 bill, and it's all done in pinks. Like you don't even see these subtleties, but you're just like, wow, that's really nice.